you and I talked before about police unions and sort of the power that they hold, and yet when I read right to work and sort of it takes power away from the unions, and also you mentioned sort of you want to repeal the dangerous aspects of right to work. So I kind of just wanted to get some clarification on what that last part meant, the dangerous aspects of right to work, but also sort of that balance of, okay, maybe this police union has too much power, but we also want to make sure that workers sort of have more of a, we want to give unions sort of a prop up, but not necessarily the police one. So that's kind of like three
Absolutely.
questions in one,
It's
but yeah.
okay. And so let me know if I missed something. So as I said to you earlier, I am a teacher, and we collective bargaining is something that we have been fighting for. I remember when I went into my job, when I first started my job in 2018 at this new, where I'm currently at, and I wanted to negotiate my contract, and they were like, "No, we just don't do that, right?" And so, I don't feel and didn't feel that I was being, compensated for my years of experience and for my level of education. And so it's kind of, when we look at, right to work, it's kind of like we don't have the ability to negotiate our contract and to fight for some of the benefits that we may feel that we collectively deserve. And so it's important that employers are empowered to be able to do that, right? And it's not kind of like you take it or you leave it, or you don't have a job. And it's kind of like I hear you kind of saying, okay, but you're saying support unions but not police unions, right? Well, I am saying that, right? And this is the reason why. This is the reason why, for a couple of reasons. I remember, and I'm not sure if I told you, so I know we talked for great length, but I remember the day of special session, the first day of special session during the uprising this past summer. My uncle Jeff and I had Delegate Hudson from Charlottesville had requested to meet with me and my uncle right before special session began. And one of the questions that my uncle asked her was, are a lot of elected officials, um, state elected officials, are their campaigns funded by police unions? I don't know where that question came from. He just asked her. Um, and she kind of dropped her head and she said, yeah, you know, and we need to take a moment to process that. Because like when we look at, okay, well, in Virginia, the Democratic Party is the majority in House Senate, and we have a Democratic governor. So they have the numbers to pass the bill to end qualified immunity. They have the numbers to mandate independent civilian review boards with subpoena power, but why aren't they? you know Again, as I said earlier, we have to trace the money. We have to trace the money. So again, what happens in my opinion is that these police unions become a big mouthpiece as well, as far as how far our politicians will go. Twice in 6 months, excuse me, the bill to end qualified immunity was heard. Guess what happened? Twice in 6 months, that bill was killed. And so we see that the police unions, have a major pull in our political system. And not only that, is when we look at how the police unions are being used, they are a major force again in protecting police officers, even when they act out of their ethical realm, when they unjustly use force to apprehend a person, whether it's police brutalization or it's murder. Again, they are serving as a oppressor there to the people. Instead of just empowering and protecting the rights of police officers, they have a whole nother monster, a layer to them that you will not hear politicians talk about. And again, I don't mean to put Delegate Hudson out there, but she told us that. And again, that's something that's really, really important, because when we elect our various elected officials on the local to state level, we elect them to represent the needs of the people, right? But that's not happening when you have Dominion, that's being their mouthpiece, and that's not happening when their mouthpieces are where their money is coming from, which includes police unions. And so, yeah, we're definitely for defunding the police in general. And you didn't ask, but I'm going to say it. Again, we are for defunding the police and reallocating funds to systems of community care. What we're saying is that we cannot put everything from A to Z on our police officers, plate and expect them to do it and do it right. They are not trained to deal with mental health. They should not be dealing with mental health calls. They are not trained to deal with a person who just had a drug overdose. They should not be dealing with that. They are not trained to handle a 3-year-old in a school who just had a mental health crisis and is seeing things or people. But that's who we are. We are told that we are required to call. So instead of giving them money to do what they can't do, reallocate that money to systems of care. It is not done. So when they commit these offenses, when they commit these murders or acts of police brutalization, they feel empowered to continue to do it because between the police union and the elected officials that are supported by the police unions, they're backed. They're backed and they're covered and they feel empowered. And so we must, in my opinion, first step is defund the police. And our next step is we have to abolish the police. Abolish the police and raise up a brand new system that is ensuring equity and humanity is what is built upon. Because our our police departments are systemically racist. If you look at from their origins, they're systemically racist. And until you can hire as many police officers, new police officers as you want. But as long as our legislation still empowers them to do the same things that they have been historically doing for a long period of time, they're going to continue to do it. There's no amount of money that we can keep throwing to them. We hear them say, give police more training, invest in the police more, give them crisis intervention training. The police officer who murdered my brother was crisis intervention trained. He did not use any of the training that he received. There was no accountability for him using it. And what do? We continue to throw money towards the police officers and say, just train them more. No accountability, but just keep giving them training because it looks good. It sounds good. Again, these unions are backing our politicians. Therefore, they're financially backing our politicians and they are becoming the mouthpieces of our politicians.